So I just finished building my second app with Lovable, and I've come to realize that I've still got a lot to learn. But here are a couple things that I learned while building this app, and I want to share it with you so you don't make the same mistakes. So let's start with a little bit of backstory. My first app, I just kind of went into it not knowing anything, and I briefly touched on Daryl Wilson's method, where he has a Evernote that kind of goes through the process of building the app. So if you've ever built an app like me and tried to go through someone else's step-by-step steps, you might realize that not everyone's brain thinks the same, because as I was going through this process of trying to figure out, what's first and what's second and what's third, everything just kind of went crazy. Like I started off with the major prompt, right? Like, here's the prompt, here's what I want, and it built something out. And then I just kept running into more bugs and more bugs and more bugs. And I wasn't sure at what point do I put the pro version in versus the free version. At what point do I put do I tell it to start setting up the Stripe payments versus not the Stripe payments? And everything just started ending up becoming a complete jumbled mess. So as I went through this process, I don't want to say it was the same thing as the first way that I did it, but I tried to start off with a way to do it, and it just kept turning into more debugging. Lovable is kind of funny in that way, where you start prompting and you start putting all of these things together, and then all of a sudden it's something totally different. So going through the flow and trying to figure out like a specific process doesn't work so naturally, especially when you're in the thick of things. So keep that in mind as you jump into these vibe coding platforms and start to prepare something to build out. So the first thing that I learned while I was building this much larger application was, initially I thought, because of the way the token usage was, that you are supposed to make one big giant prompt to make sure that the system does everything that you need. And what I've come to discover is that it doesn't always work like that. I believe in testing these things that the first prompt you do can be a big prompt to kind of get a MVP going. But after that, it seems to be more and more important to structure the updates and the prompts into different sections. And I'll give you an example. So you can see right here, I went through the entire website and I started telling it, hey, this is what I need you to do. These are my global changes. This is the changes on the dashboard page. This is the changes on the contacts page. And I went through each and every section of the website so that it knew everything it had to do. And as I wrote it out, first I brought it into ChatGPT. I told ChatGPT, make this in order so that it makes sense. It gave me the prompt, and then this is what it produced. Now you can see that this is pretty long. When I put this in here, you can see right here that it said it thought for 38 seconds, and then it says, I'll implement these comprehensive CRM improvements systematically. Now, let me start by saying, like, a lot of these improvements weren't like functional stuff. It was just things that didn't look right. It was a lot of front end code. Maybe a handful of them was functional because I wanted to separate the pro stuff from the free stuff. So I just put it in this one big thing, page by page, and said, this is what needs to be done on this page. This is what needs to be done on that page. And it just didn't work out. You see that it says, I'll implement these changes right here. I'll implement all these changes. This is a comprehensive update. So I'll start with database. And I don't know what it was doing. I don't know. I didn't think I requested anything for new database tables. I was just looking for structure on the application, but I mean, I guess it did what it had to do anyway. So then it says, these are the completed changes. Now, a lot of the changes that I requested weren't done. And a lot of the things that it was saying wasn't done either. So I went down to here. It showed up some issues because some errors kept popping up. So I said, fix the issues, because I couldn't see what it did. And then it started saying it's doing more stuff. It fixed pipeline errors. It fixed all of these things. I said, continue, because it was a big list. So I wanted to make sure it did it. And then it kept going down and it says, we're done. Global changes. It mentioned 3. I think my list had like 5 or 6. Dashboard changes. It did 4. My list had way more than that. client management, page contacts, all this stuff. So, I mean, it did quite a few things, but it didn't do a lot of the things. Like it says that it did it, but it didn't. So, for example, I had asked for this to move stage control into client overview card. It didn't do that. It didn't add a reminder thing. Like it just didn't do what I needed it to. So I told it. I said, you missed a lot, and a few things you said were done have not been done. Please compare my list with what was done and come up with a plan to fix it and complete the rest of the work. So what ended up happening was this thing ended up breaking down my comprehensive list into like 8 phases, I think it was. So you see right here, yeah, fully implemented. It says 9 out of 30 were implemented. So keep in mind, I'm burning tokens. I'm like, every prompt, 3 tokens here, 5 tokens there. I don't understand the token system, but I just see them going down as I'm typing out the stuff that I need. So it didn't have everything. It says partially implemented, 11 out of 30, fully implemented, 9 out of 30. And then it just went through the whole list. And it's way more than 30. Like you can see right here, critical missing features. Like it went all through the list and there were 60 different things. So not a lot of it was done. So then it gave me the implementation plan, which you could see right here, phase 1 all the way through phase 14. So that started my journey on these long prompts and going, okay, I don't think I could prompt these long things anymore. I have to take this in chunks and figure out things that need to be debugged versus things that need to be edited as far as functionality and things that need to be design-wise. And I think if I chunk it out like that, it might work a little better. I'm not 100% sure. That's my assumption. I just know as I started doing this, it started doing these things. Phase 1 to 3 are high priority, 4 to 6 is critical, 7 to 9 major. And I just kept saying, continue with the plan, continue with the plan, continue with the plan. And it did a great job. It really did. There's still a little bugs here and there, but I finally got it to a point after those long prompts and breaking it down more and more and more to get it the way I wanted. And I think an underused feature, I don't know if it's underused. I know maybe I underuse it because I don't want to waste all the tokens all the time, is this chat feature. Because every time you use chat, it uses, I think, either 1 token or half a token. I'm not exactly sure. I try to keep track of it, but it's hard to once it does everything. But using this chat feature, like this is kind of the best thing because it knows all the code, it knows what it did, and it can start to plan out everything that you're using. So this is kind of a bonus in here. And I'm thinking of it now, maybe instead of using Chat GPT and everything to plan out what you want, start off with the chat in here. You could use Chat GPT, paste it in, and then run it through the chat here and say, this is what I want to build. These are the steps. Sort it out for me so that we can build this logically. That might work. I don't know. If you use this, write it in the comments. Let me know if that's a better way to do it. I'm still kind of trying to mess with it and figure out the perfect way to do it. I still got everything that I wanted to get. It just took me a lot longer and a lot more prompts and edits and debugging. So yeah, if you know a better way, let me know. But the long prompt thing, I don't think it's going to work. Let's go on to number 2. Organization isn't a one-size-fits-all. I know there's a lot of things out there that say use this method or use that method or this is how you can build. And I think they're amazing, amazing starting points. But once you really get into the thick of it, everybody functions differently and everybody tries to see things different way. When I was going through the list on the Evernote for Daryl's program, let me just pull it up real quick. Okay, here it is right here. So the first step, love it, brainstorm the idea. The second step is the 4-phase process. Phase 1 is design and UI. Phase 2, logic and flow. Phase 3, build the core features out. Phase 4, polish and deploy. Now, I think in my brain, like this is step 1, and then this is step 2, step 2, step 2.1, step 2.3, step 2.4, and then connect Supabase. So I'm doing design, logic, I'm doing all of these things, and I'm like, wait a minute, like it already created the connection for the Lovable Cloud. So I don't need step 3 because it already did it. And then it says implement security and fixes and bugs. And so on this step, I'm just randomly doing it because I'm like, there's too many errors for me to move forward. Let me fix the bugs now. So even like this process might work great for Daryl or for other people that are doing it. I think this is just a great jumping off point, a great starting point where if you're going to start your AI app, yeah, let's absolutely brainstorm the idea. This you might want to separate or just completely ignore or whatever works for you. This didn't work for me. I brainstormed, I put in the prompt, and it started building. The database was already implemented when I did it. So now I'm trying to follow the steps. I'm like, oh, I'm already out of order. Implement security fixes and debugs. This was completely random. Like whenever things didn't work or if it piled up too much, I was like, okay, fix this. This has to get fixed before getting too deep into applications because a lot of the stuff wasn't working and Lovable has to fix that stuff. So then there was prompts here that said add authentication permissions, protect sensitive API keys. And, you know, I'm just copying and pasting things. I'm like, all right, let me try that. And it was doing stuff. It was working. Then I went back to step 5 and I'm like, okay, start a prompt. I was like, crap, I already started. So I was like, all right, I got this little MVP thing. Let me look through this. So I copied this and then I just kind of tweaked it so that it matched what I needed. Then more things were built and I wasn't ready for the credit card part because I wasn't sure at what point that came in. I mean, my initial prompt said, I need credit. I need, you know, plans. I need the free plan and the pro plan. But I didn't implement this until like way after like everything was done. Like I did the free version and then I did the pro version, and the last thing I did was implement the stripe so that it can distinguish the two and then allow features to be added for the pro. Then debug, then start creating your app. Again, I thought debugging was all the way up here. So, you know, it was just, I was just going back and forth. And then at that point, I was just like, I can't follow this because I don't know what I'm doing. This isn't really working for me. And then finally, after all the time that I spent doing it and all the tokens that I was spending doing it, it was about 90 tokens I used to go from the idea to getting something that officially works, where I was like, okay, this is good. I got like 10 tokens left, but it actually works. Like I have a good starting point. I have a pro plan, and people could purchase the pro plan and then end up going to use those features, and it all works flawlessly. So this says after website is in alpha or beta, which I guess right now mine would be in beta. You start there. It says then you start with the pro features. Totally thrown out the window. Didn't even follow this. I was like, oh my gosh, I already did everything. Like I'm way out past the pro features part. So that was it. And then I just started looking at these and saying, all right, what could I use? Where do I get with this? So I didn't even do a lot of this stuff. I kind of did everything like in between. I didn't have this 1 through 9 or 1 through 10 step process. It's just hard for me to follow. So figure out what's going to work for you and the best way to work it. I think for me, it's get the idea going, get that MVP set up, start testing it out, build out all of your features, and don't worry about the UI at all yet, because let's get into the next one. Lovable's weak spot is front-end design. I've just been messing around with it to try to see what I can build and what I can build out. And it's been such a pain. Like you can see right here, where is it? Like this is the design it came up with. And it's super simple and super basic. You know, it's nothing to say, wow, look at this incredible thing. It is just a basic, you know, there's not even a picture here. Everything you need, the colors, it's just, there's nothing that stands out about it. It's just basic. So I was kind of getting upset because I was like, I need a much better design, but I'm spending all my tokens on this other part of it, which is getting the actual functionality of this set up. And it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I ended up not using that, and I found a program called UIX Pilot. Sorry, I totally said that wrong. It's UX Pilot, and it's uxpilot.ai. And it's smarter UX design, all done in seconds. And I signed up for a free account. And as I was researching this, I'm finding out that there's a lot of actual front end designers with AI. So you could sign up for this, get a free account, and test it out on your application. Let me log in and I'll show you what it came up with pretty simply. So check this out. Once I'm logged in, I simply asked it to give me a CRM homepage that's selling a CRM for non-techies, because that's essentially what I built. Manage your clients like a pro without the complexity. And it put this cool little animation thing in here. None of this is functional. This is strictly just UI design. You got the watch demo. It added some color. We have a little bit of animation, which is really cool. Some testimonials here. Little pricing table. I mean, it's not like $1 million design, like, whoa, that's gonna blow me away. But it was a pretty great starting point. And then if you go into, so I had it like design every single page from the home page to the inside page. So, and then the way I moved this over to Lovable was I took this screenshot of it and I told Lovable to look at the screenshot, and I need the inside pages to look like that. And Lovable began to do it. It wasn't pixel perfect. It actually kept messing up a lot of things. Like initially, it didn't fix this dashboard. This was all grayed out, and the colors were off, and everything was just awkward. But a couple prompts later, I said, hey, you didn't do this. You got to fix this. Fix the header. Fix the buttons. And it built this. So this is actually what the inside of the application looks like. You have the left-hand side, the left-hand navigation. We've got the information here. And these are the screens. So screenshot the screens and tell it to do what it needs to do. This is the, and I would keep telling UX Pilot to, this is what I want. This is the page that I want. Make a customer page, make this page. So it created a page for the customer. So this is what it looks like inside. And it's really just a very simple CRM for non-techies. That was the goal. And it just kept everything really, really clean. So that's what I ended up building out. And UX Pilot really helped out with that. And even this front page, I mean, it's not crazy. But I have it. I only have a couple. I have like 9 tokens left, I think. 11 left. Because the daily ones, if you don't use them, they just expire. So I haven't messed with the front end of the site yet. The back end works perfectly. The front end is a little and I'm debating on whether to use WordPress for the front end and just keep this for the back end, or just go all out and just build the page with Lovable. That's kind of a game I'm gonna have to play, because I know I could do this with WordPress. It's just going to take me a little while, but once it's done, it's done. Tweaks and updates are super simple, and I'm not paying for every single update I need to make. Versus Lovable, everything's going to be a token. Every update, every change, everything that you use, and depending on your budget, like you can go through iterations really quick and start burning down your tokens. So front end, not the best. UX Pilot was really great, and there's also something that I found that I think is going to help out great. And here's the bonus one. Let's check this one out. I've discovered this new toy called Cursor, which I've seen a lot of videos where people are combining Lovable with Cursor to not burn as many tokens every time they do something. I downloaded it. It's just an IDE to code, but it has the AI inside of it. And there's a lot of tutorials to get this thing running and debugging your code. So if you run out of Lovable tokens, or if you want to use Lovable for like the main build of it and then bring it to Cursor, you can mess around with a lot of stuff. And the pricing is really good, because you get for $20 a month, you get unlimited tab completions back. They keep changing these things all the time. It's good. From what I've been understanding, it's inexpensive. You can still do things. It just does it slower if you're not paying for it. It does it faster if you are paying for it. So there's a lot of pluses to this, and you can get into the code. And if you're a developer, you can find out what's up. You can put the code into ChatGPT and tell it, hey, what do I need to fix to get this working? Look at this code. What do I need to debug? But it all runs right through Cursor. So like Cursor is a total game changer. I haven't dove in completely to try to figure it out yet, but from what I'm seeing and what I've been researching, huge bonus. Take your stuff from Lovable. Once it's in GitHub, you bring it to Cursor, and then you can do your commits and really create something without burning your funds every time you want to debug or add features and things like that. So that's a little bonus for you. Again, I haven't checked it out, but I've been reading a lot and I've been watching a lot of videos that the Lovable and Cursor workflow work really, really, really well together. So I'm going to do that for the actual front end of the website to see if I can come up with something really cool. And I might record that process for you guys. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments. That might be the next step I take to build this out. But other than that, here's my final thoughts. So second app is done. I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn down this AI vibe coding path. The limits you have are like, there are no limits. Like you can literally build anything. It really just depends on your budget. And as you learn to prompt the best workflow that works for you, I'm learning to keep things simple, to start with the idea, but to really have the complete vision in place before dialing into one of these platforms. Breaking things down into a structured order and then bringing it to the vibe coding platform to make it work the way you want to work. I think that might cut down on some of the bugs, because if we just start blasting it with prompts and ideas and things like that, it starts to get all crazy out of the place. The front end, if you're building an app right now and you've mastered the front end part of it, leave a comment. I'd love to hear more about it, because the front end that I'm seeing is not that great, and it's all pretty generic and standard. And I know it has a lot to do with the prompting that goes into it. And I can put in other designs, put in pictures and say, I want it to look like this, I want it to look like that. But again, now we're going from, 100 token application to another 100 token just to build the front end. And the real question is it worth it? Do I want to keep spending 25, 25, 25, 25 dollars every time I want to build an iteration or build something? And it could be worth it, because if you're charging a client, like you're just spending 25 bucks to build an entire front end, and you're spending 25 bucks to build an entire back end. So for $50, if your client is paying you like $1,000 bucks, $2,000, like, yeah, that could absolutely be worth it. If you're building something for yourself, if you got to build a product that's eventually going to turn a profit, because otherwise you're just going to be burning money. And remember, like, this is monthly, so it's not just a one-time thing. Like, you have to keep the stuff going, and you have to keep it hosted. So still learning a lot, but you know what? I want to hear from you. If you've built an app, or if you're in the process of building an app and you're running into the same things, or you found better workflows, I'd love to hear it, because I'm love learning, and I like taking these things and really pushing them to see what we can create and what we can build. I mean, honestly, this is the future of development. Like, I know I used to develop a lot, I used to design a lot, but with all of these things coming out, it's like, man, I don't need Photoshop anymore. I don't need all of these other tools anymore. AI can literally do it. And if I have questions, or if I'm uncertain about something and I want to do it myself, I could, research code. I always think there's a benefit to knowing the code yourself, because it does help to debug better. But the way these apps are built, man, like, you're not even going to have to do that soon. Like, they're fixing their own errors. And it's wild. It's just, we just got to figure out the best way to start implementing these things, and then moving forward, and then building something that's going to benefit either you, your company, or the ones that you're serving. So with that said, like, comment, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll definitely catch me on the next one. Let me know if you want to see me do the process of the front end, because I'm still learning and trying to figure that out. So that's going to be a fun thing. Yeah, that's it. I'll put a link in the description for the CRM. If you want to check it out, you can sign up for a free account. I think it's pretty awesome. And yeah, that's it. God bless. Take care. See you in the next one.